Summer 2026. The final penalty settles it, and a nation that had waited 16 years explodes. Paraguay have just knocked Germany out of the World Cup on penalties. And in the middle of it all, arms wide, screaming at the sky, is a smiling boy from one of Asuncion's poorest streets. 5 years earlier, his name was a joke. A punchline shouted across a title party by a Premier League star. So how does a footballer go from being English football's insult to the heartbeat of a World Cup shock? This is Miguel Almiron, the winger who ran and could not score. The man mocked in front of the world, and the story of how he answered, never with words, only with work. Because the label that nearly broke him arrived after he'd already conquered 2 continents. To understand why it cuts so deep, you have to go back to a barrio where football was played barefoot. Part 1. San Pablo. He was born on the 10th of February 1994 in the San Pablo barrio of Asuncion. His father Ruben worked security shifts reported as long as 18 hours. His mother Sonia worked in a supermarket. 7 family members shared 3 bedrooms. By Miguel's own account, he shared a bed with his mother until he was 18. There was not much, but there was a ball. He learned the game barefoot, on dirt pitches, where a stone or a rut could turn an ankle in a heartbeat. That's where the balance came from. That's where the low, darting first touch was born. But when he was around 7, the club coaches took one look at him and turned him away. Too frail, too lightweight. A gust of wind, they seemed to think, might knock him over. So it took a leap of faith. Cerro Porteño, one of Paraguay's giants, looked past the skinny frame and saw the feet. They took him in. And the frail kid started to fly. By 2013, still a teenager, he broke through and won a Paraguayan title with Cerro Porteño. The boy the scouts rejected was now a champion in his own country. But a title in Paraguay was only the first door. The bigger leagues of South America were watching, and one of them came calling from across the border. Lanús in Argentina, a tougher, faster, more physical league. Exactly the kind of place a too frail player was supposed to sink. Instead, he thrived. In 2016, he won the Argentine title with Lanús, announcing himself across an entire continent. 2 countries, 2 championships. The kid from San Pablo was no longer a secret. And now the whispers traveled north. A brand new club, in a brand new league, was building something from nothing, and they wanted a face to sell it. Atlanta United. An expansion team in Major League Soccer. And in 2017, Almiron became their marquee man, the star the whole project was built around. He was electric. That barefoot balance, that low center of gravity, defenders bouncing off a frame they'd once called too light. Atlanta didn't just compete, they caught fire. In 2018, they won the MLS Cup, and Almiron was named in the MLS Best 11, the league's brightest attacking star. A trophy on a 3rd continent stage. 3 titles, 3 countries. Everything he touched turned to silver. Every league that had doubted the frail kid ended up celebrating him. And that success carried a price, because Europe was watching now. But what almost ended everything, the moment that would nearly break the smiling man, was still just weeks away, waiting in the cold of the English winter. Part 3. The Punchline. January 2019. Newcastle United make Miguel Almiron their club record signing, a fee reported at around £21 million. The most expensive player in the club's history. And this is where the fairy tale stalls. Because the same running, the same energy, the same darting movement that dazzled 3 leagues suddenly produced nothing. He ran endlessly. He harried, he chased, he covered every blade of grass. But the goals would not come. Weeks turned into months. Almost 1 year, no goal. Almost a year without a Premier League goal. And in a league that lives on highlights and numbers, effort without end product becomes a cruel kind of shorthand. Almiron became that shorthand.
The man who had won everywhere he'd been was now the name you used when a player worked hard and produced nothing. The joke wrote itself. And then someone said it out loud. May 2021. Manchester City are celebrating the league title.
Jack Grealish is filmed mocking a teammate for having, in his words, played like Almiron. The punchline, heard around the world. A player's name turned into an insult, broadcast at a party, laughed at by champions. Grealish would later publicly say he regretted it, but in the moment, Almiron said nothing. No angry post, no interview firing back. He answered the way he always had, with silence and with work. And here is the contradiction at the heart of this whole story. The man mocked for scoring nothing never stopped smiling. Humility was his armor. But armor only holds if you get back up. So the question that hung over him now was brutal and simple. Was the punchline the truth? Or was Miguel Almiron about to write one of the great redemptions the Premier League had ever seen? Part 4. The Answer. Autumn 2022. Newcastle, rebuilt and rising, are flying. And the man on the right wing, the punchline, starts to catch fire. The goals come. One, then another, then another. A reported 7 goals in 8 league games before the World Cup break. Screamers, tap-ins, the lot. The ball fizzing into top corners at St James's Park. The crowd roaring a name they'd once had to defend. The frail kid, the punchline, unstoppable. 7 goals in 8 games. Premier League Player of the Month. Goal of the Month. Newcastle near the top of the table. The insult had become the inspiration. And he'd done it exactly as promised, without ever saying a word. He never gloated, never pointed to the mockery. When Grealish's comment came up, Almiron responded graciously and moved on. The work had already spoken louder than any reply could. That season, St James's Park sang his name. The man they'd nearly written off had become one of the most beloved players at one of England's most passionate clubs. But even beloved stories reach their final chapter. February 2025. Almiron leaves Newcastle and goes home to Atlanta United. Back to the club he'd made famous. A hero returning, adored on 2 continents. The kid the scouts called too frail had now been the face of an expansion team, a record signing in England, a player of the month, and a returning icon. But one dream was still missing. Paraguay had not been to a World Cup since 2010. 16 years of near misses and heartbreak for a proud footballing nation. And in 2026, they finally made it back. Now, Almiron is no longer the kid. He's the veteran heart of the squad. A reported 75 caps, second most in the team. The leader. The one who's seen it all. 75 caps. A group with the United States, Australia, and Turkey. La Albirroja fight their way through. And in the round of 32, the draw hands them a giant. Germany. 4-time world champions. The kind of name that used to send teams like Paraguay home. This time, Paraguay would not blink. It goes to penalties. Every kick a held breath for a nation of 7 million. 4-3, and Paraguay have knocked Germany out of the World Cup. One of the shocks of the tournament, and there, at the center of the pile, is the boy from San Pablo. The one they said was too frail, the one they turned into a joke. The same smile, the same silence turned into an answer. From a dirt pitch in Asuncion to knocking a superpower out of the World Cup. Think about the through line. Every setback met with work, never words. A man mocked in front of the planet who chose to reply with goals and then said nothing at all. The frail kid became a 3-country champion. The punchline became Player of the Month. And now the veteran carries a nation deeper into a World Cup than it's been in a generation. Germany are gone. Paraguay march on. And the only question left is the one nobody in Asuncion dares finish out loud. Just how far can this run go? If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Beyond the Boots for more. The boots tell the story. We just follow the footsteps.